My name is David Breaker, and this is July 2nd. We are 2 days away from the United States Independence Day, and it should be noted that this, as far as the paper of King David is concerned, is our Independence Day from the Torah. I've used this thing since finding a 42-point puzzle in the Gospel of Matthew, and I'm here from the paper of King David because my mother's father turned up Isidore Lurie in the book Pioneer Fathers, a guidebook to Jewish genealogy by Dan Rottenberg. He's on the family of Lurie, a family of Rashi, of the family of David. And the argument 2,000 years ago is that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob had 2 commandments and 8 rules, and nothing is written. I've been using this for years. This is a permanent cure for diabetes, attention deficiency disorder, and obsessive compulsive disorder, and changes from days to now. Not 7 days until the day off, but I want off now. To make this next decision, will I or anyone ever label from left index to right? This is an 8-bit decision computer. If this had arrived, we would have begun civilization with computers. The promised land is world peace. There are no books, no burdens, no leadership, no tithing, no allowance for slavery. Increases intellect, decreases chaos, leaves peace in our wake, protects our children, is simple and is fun, and there are no leaders. So Steve Erickson at Shalom United Church of Christ can go to hell. This rotten bastard, I'm in a position of weakness, he's in a position of authority. I bring him these tools. He's 3 blocks from my house. I found a 42-point puzzle in the Gospel of Matthew. Who do you think I'm going to take it to? The Marine Corps. They had no idea. I talked to Dale Graff, CIA's leader of Project Stargate. He's the one from the CIA that would protect the entire Marine Corps. I asked him on the 23rd of April, 2010, did you know that there are remote viewing tools in the Gospels? And he said no. This is a problem. He didn't know that from the end of the age today, back to Sermon on the Mount, is a straight line time map as those events that happened last. The first you see as you go backwards in space-time. If you take a chance to take a video camera and feedback it at a television screen, that's what reality actually looks like. Because the way your mind processes space-time, you don't see the flow, you only see the now. But without having the tools for the now, but having tools for the flow, that's why our civilization is failing. To make this next decision, if you do not lie, first, lie, escape, dishonor, torture, steal, overwork, adultery, to kill. Left thumb is how you love God with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind. Right thumb is you treat everyone as you want to be treated. Not everyone treats everyone as you want to be treated. This is the yin-yang, and it was supposed to have been delivered to Egypt and Greece and China when they're building pyramids, Parthenon, Great Walls. Had it arrived, the promised land, as I said, but the thing is that we arrived with a document that read how we built the pyramids, how homosexual is forbidden and pork was unclean. This is a very unique double cross. But this is why the Torah is written from right to left. So when you stand it perpendicular between your legs, all the ethereal stuff, fantasy stuff, will be written by the left hand, and thus possibly the right hemisphere. This creates an X in your mind, and between these 2 hemispheres is a point, an intersection between 3 planes. There's a plane behind your eyes, so time is coming towards you, you're making a decision, and time attached to matter is seeing that decision move away from you. You have the issue with the plane directly beneath you. You have the plane behind your eyes, you have the plane between your hemispheres. And this is a multiverse. CERN said they found a multiverse. I've been mapping the multiverse, but you have to look at all the dimensions. While you are at a crux, Muhammad is going to blow your mind. He's a member of the paper of King David. His family was stupid because the Torah was an intellectual enslavement and a nightmare. It set our intellect back to the Stone Age, or beyond, because everything in it is the wrong answer. Not the bad choice, the wrong choice. Why? So when George Bush turned up acting like he was the burning bush, I went, aha, we're carrying a trap. I don't know about anybody else. My love and trusting parents left the end off my John Thomas over this, my dick. So if anybody wants to spend U.S. tax dollars to Halliburton, this is the vice president's own company, to build guillotines and coffins and trains for shackles, should the Chinese pull the laws because Trump pisses them off, the public will panic uncontrollably, creating a zombie apocalypse as written. This is game design. We build computer games. We have their source code. We know what we're doing. So in the computer game of Armageddon is written, suddenly all Marines on the planet are a faithful flock who carry these tools I'm about to uncode in their hands. And so I rose to be a good shepherd. And I'm going to thank Gordon Duff at Veterans Today magazine. This is a Marine, and I'm hoping that somebody out there will spend the money to buy him a new set of dress blues. He said that his 40s don't fit. He said he's about a size 50 now. I did this meticulously so that a friend of mine who is a Marine will get a second coming of justice from his superiors, because his NCO ordered him at ODAR 300 to go out and set up a shooting competition, and he was the battalion crack shot, with the understanding that the NCO was going to bring him his weapon. The NCO's name was Butler, and I've worked on this meticulously because if Major General Smedley Butler is related to NCO Butler in any way, I can't dishonor the man because of this situation. But it is a creed with the Marine Corps that you and your weapon are one, and if your weapon is dirty, then you are dirty. And the NCO did not bring my friend, his weapon, and the weapon he did give him was his own weapon, but it was dirty. And so the battalion crack shot failed to win the competition and grumbled about it verbally in public. The NCO ordered my friend to a fight in front of 3 other officers. At one point in the fight, the NCO put his hand on the ground, and my friend, with his bare foot, smashed with the heel of his foot the weapon of his enemy in this engaged environment fight. If the NCO had a brain, he would call rank and call a court-martial. If he had any brains at all, he would have brought my friend his weapon, and they'd be toasting the trophy that they'd won. What the NCO did was take his busted-up hand and smack my friend, and then reach into his pants and squeeze his balls. This is an officer who set up this entire chain of cause and effect, and now has violated the rules of engagement that his own leadership established the parameters of the fight. By squeezing the balls, he endangered the future of the Marine beyond service, and thus dishonored the entire Marine Corps. What happened next is my friend, seeing red, bit this man's ear off. And for some reason, the ball squeeze didn't come up in court, but the biting of the ear did, and the judge said, you were ordered to fight him, but you were not ordered to win. If the judge knew about the ball squeeze, things would be different. If the judge comprehended that this began from the NCO's incompetence, I'm doing this because a friend of mine needs justice. And the only way we can do it is to prove that there's a relationship between cause and effect in quantum mechanics space-time. Somebody caught a virus and wrote the Torah, so I uninstalled the Torah. So when I found George Bush acting like he was burning bush, I could use these tools. If you do not lie, you expect from here to eternity ahead of you in space-time. If you do not scapegoat, well, it's nice that you're not lying about other people. The greater lesson is learn from every mistake you can find backwards in space-time. The Torah was a mistake. Everyone in the world that is banking on our logic has made a tragic mistake because we made a mistake and no one's been responsible. So in 2008, at Brew Hall, Los Angeles, I submitted an article that the editor published entitled Marines, ! Save the USA from an infected administration. And I threw my hat into the ring, but I said I can't run for president until this coup is ferreted out and the president is safe. Now, Trump has Billy Bush standing right next to him, and I am arguing to the Marine Corps that this is the most dangerous thing in the world. And any Marine standing near Mr. President, if you see Billy Bush getting anywhere near him, he is a mortal enemy of the Marine Corps, and here's how. His father was standing right next to Adolf Hitler when loans secured in Germany were pulled on cue. Everyone's dreams, including Hitler's, died. They dropped into a subconscious state, which is what happens when people panic. It's at this barrier breach between fantasy and reality that you can introduce mass hypnosis on an uneducated public and take them places that they think are real and they're not, so they can be terrorized. President Bush knew hypnosis, and he used it on an uneducated public with terror meters. And I went to the U.S. Department of Justice and said, I build computer games using hypnosis. Well, I build games. It's not computer because you don't need a computer. With this, all you need is streaming media. So I bring tools to get everyone in radio new work, and especially new voiceover work. Because in 2003, in reaction to terror meters, I put the bulk of my life's work, the FCC-compliant contractual platform for hypnosis, I call scriptnosis. It's the conjunction between the word scripted and the word hypnosis run together, SCRYPNOSIS, so that when you write out every word that you're intending in a hypnosis session and give it to your intended listener, or in my case, email it, and then you run the session over the phone or in public, as long as the intended listener has pre-read every word, it's no longer hypnosis. You are an orator extraordinary. And they're doing all the work. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis, not, oh, I'm the great hypnotist. Bullshit. Fuck you. To Tony Robbins and all these people who are making lots of money at hypnosis and not telling anybody the terror meters are mass hypnosis triggered, fuck you. Marines, I expect you to realize the money reason God we trust because in a crisis we never trust the money. We trust the good. We trust our Marines. From the end of the age to determine the amount of a time map as those events that happened last would be the first you see as you go backwards in space-time. With 2 commands and 8 rules, dissect space-time. What you realize is when you get back to the point where nothing is written, you find a single person that wrote the Torah and they, like a Christmas tree on its side. You have a single point and then expanding chaos away. Marines, if you want to stop the wars, you've killed the people who come up with the wars. That's the only way to do it. War is a breach between fantasy logic and this reality dimension. Love your enemy and keep it in your own mind. Should your body be the enemy of any Marine, they'll kill it. No prisons, no taxes. Both concepts came from the Torah. They are inconsistent with human logic. We goofed. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. But now with 3,000 years of humans, the Israelites can't be human. This is not our history. These are not our people. You know, good and goddamn well, as a parent and as a leader, you'd have set out rules that would never be broken. And you leave. And you come back. And there's a bully standing there frightening your people. Who do you side with? Marines, you kill the bully, and you protect the meek. Blessed are the meek. But Moses coming down from Sinai sides with the bully, smashes the tablets, and leaves. And comes back with the 10 Commandments that are... it's just the only way to get a message thousands of years into the future intact. It had to be encrypted so nobody knew what they were carrying. And it had to be enslaving so nobody would drop it. The perfect religion for a slave has freedom. We were duped into carrying a trap. But it had to be deceptive. It couldn't deliver what was promised. King David wrote a psalm. My name is David Breaker. King David wrote a psalm. And at the end of the song, it said, goodness and mercy follow us all of our days. Well, I stuck the Torah's logic into a computer and... holy shit, why are we carrying this? This is a nightmare. And then the argument is that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob had 2 commands and 8 rules. Our contracts with Abraham, not Moses. Why are we carrying a Torah? Torah's computer game design. If you look at standard literary criticism, it's written from the base of Sinai to manna. And then the author used Passover to pass over the continuity error. The author of the Torah is the Holy Ghost. This intellect is playfully mean, but it drives your imagination. You heard me right. It wanted to prove to you that it's not automated and it's intelligent. So it wrote a Torah and set a trap for itself. Because what Torah's logic tops out in 6 dimensions. We exist in points, lines, planes, space, time, matter, belief systems, feelings, and communications. These are 9 dimensions of logic. But set in a phase of matter, which is beneath, from your body beneath your feet. A phase of ideas behind your eyes. And a phase of consciousness between your hemispheres so that you can judge what is fantasy and what is reality. And anytime you scream out, I can't believe this is happening, as long as fantasy is in reality is safe, this will shut off the graphics of your mind and return you here to default mode. If you scream out, I can't believe this is happening, and it's still happening, that's a breach in the barrier due to a war or other thing. All you have to do is get your Marines to judge where they stand and judge us all. If they see somebody who exudes the torture and dishonor of scapegoat and lie, they're looking at a human body within human logic. If you do not dishonor, you respect the peace you keep with other people as all you travel forward through time. And if you do not torture, you respect the wake you leave behind you, backward in space-time. But this is forward and backward from your position in Avatar, and this is in a now. No days, just now. Now, if you do not steal, you actually respect the burdens that other people place on themselves before they intercept with your life in the now. And if you do not overwork, you respect the burdens that you add to them as they leave in the now. And if you do not adulterate, you respect the rights of other people to making chaos that moves naturally forward from them in the now. And if you do not kill, you respect the rights of others having chaos that they control in the now, or at least you're not adding to it. Notice how these appear. The 2 commandments and the 8 rules, and nothing is written. Welcome to heaven, the greatest computer fantasy game travel destination of the cosmos. Something went wrong. If you don't believe me, go to Google Earth, latitude 8 south, 108 west, with an eye altitude of 420 miles. And you'll see this with a ratio of 4 to 1 versus 2 to 1, 42. The ultimate answer, the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is 42. Douglas Adams found this puzzle long before I did, and I'm hoping that the Queen of England will make him a patron saint of the Church of England, because I couldn't have done this to prove that God saved the Queen. Queen Elizabeth has invested in poppy bush opium. She has no idea about these tools. She's the head of the church. She has no idea of these tools in her possession. The betrayal's off the scale. The loans in the United States and China. There are FEMA guillotines and coffins and trains with shackles built by Halliburton, the only contractor. All we have to do is say game over, and these people lose citizenship, all assets, all debts we owe them, and their fucking lives! Game over, motherfuckers! You can't do this to my United States Marine Corps. Fuck you. My Marine Corps, I have earned permission from the U.S. Secret Service from David Huntoon, who came to my house in Richland, Washington, on the 23rd of June 2015. And I have earned permission to raise a Marine Corps. I'm sorry, but in the computer game of Armageddon is written, all Marines are my flock, as I rose to be a good shepherd. So when wolves in sheep's clothing try to pull the wool of the eyes of the Marine Corps, you may recall the terror majors went red. The Russians were rightfully screaming their heads off because because Bush sent military advisors to the Georgian Russian incident. Things were tense. Legally, reasonably tense. I sent a fax to the Washington, D.C. Embassy and delivered tools for hypnosis, monitoring, and space-time analysis sitting in the Marine Corps Bible. Point to the Marine Corps of no idea, reveal a double cross, and say, don't get involved in a nightmare. Blessed are the peacemaker. Why? Because now with the internet, war's a lot of work. This guy 2,000 years ago was sending reconnaissance to save my Marines. And I have done as much as I can. I need the public to use this tool and signal to the Marine Corps, you've endured enough torture at the hands of mismanagement as weaponry in violation of oath of office by George Bush. You need to send a message to the whole world that the Constitution rules must be enforced now. Every member of Skull and Bones, the business plot the White House puts in the PNAC document, lose citizenship, all assets, all debts we owe your corporations in your lives. Game over. They are writing policy, and at the same time, they're creating fake military intelligence. They're siding up to people in power. They're lying as a team. And when you track it in history, it all began in 1833. From 1832 backwards in space-time by Judaism rolling and unrolling a Torah based on a lunar calendar over a solar calendar, the chaos that was raging away from us was semi-random. But in 1833, when President Andrew Jackson closed the second U.S. bank because, as he put it, he didn't want these wicked people in his government, they trotted over to Yale. They opened Skull and Bones, and instantly United States history was attacked virally by defective, expanding bureaucracy to siphon off the equities that they weren't worthy of managing. They robbed us blind, they bled us dry, and they left us to die. And they keep doing it. When you see that they created the VA and introduced opium into the veins of Marines and started attacking the Marine Corps virally with defective medicines. This is why you see what I was told that, like Vietnam, they give like 5 or 6 shots for going to foreign service, and now for Afghanistan, they're getting like 20, 30, or 30 shots for things that the shots are making people sick far afield. Marines, if you don't kill those who exude to torture and dishonor and scapegoat law, your problems will never go away. There are humans with inhuman logic. The zombies are here. One wrote a Torah. Judaism screwed up, and in 2008, I rose from the paper of King David to Aquarius' last prophet for Judaism, so I could fuck Bush, but he's never going to dismount, and built this case, so my Marine Corps are going to kill him. My Marine Corps need to be protected from people attacking the Marine Corps. You didn't see it. You need to. These people don't give a fuck about Marines. That's unacceptable. You're our family. You're our heroes. You're our Marines. Fuck them. Please. We've got Independence Day coming in 2 days. Let's go back to being children with 2 commands and 8 rules. This works within the Constitution. This was built. The whole Constitution was designed so this Einstein hanging from a cross can make the argument, because all the tools I need are printed on the back of the U.S. $1 bill. That's not a pyramid. That's a road away from you in space-time as those events that happen last approaches. And go backwards in space-time. On the other side, 13 stars in the shape of the Star of David over E pluribus unum on 2 different ribbons, in all one, but divided by the logic of the Torah. Torah's logic's not human. We goofed. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. You talk about a courageous act. These people are trying to kill us so they can win the game. And we, the people, need to just be free. 2 commandments and 8 rules, and Marines in the streets of heaven are patrolled by Marines. This is freedom, behave, or the grave. No prisons, no taxes. We've got to figure out fishes and loaves and raising the dead witnessed by idiots. We require matter rearranging or teleporter technology. Hypnosis turned out to be computational logic and standard human language. Whenever 2 or more are gathered, give a list of questions you want answered to a person running a hypnosis session for you. Ask them in the point in the script. You can use anybody's hypnosis script, but I use the one at tinyurl.com/basic all-in-one. It's a reboot sequence of the body. It fixes post-traumatic stress disorder in 1 session, 1 time. You tell nothing to anybody. You create a garbage can for garbage thoughts, and then you go from the earliest memory to the present and take everything that you've learned everything from, that you don't want to learn anything from again, and choose to put it in there. Now, you know how hard it is to black something out. But on the other hand, you know how easy it is to put your keys down and not remember where they are. What we're going to do is move from blacking out, from forgetting, to choosing to not remember. And all that stress that you use with blacking out goes away. You have abilities galore. And what we were doing is Hypnosis Dungeons and Dragons did all this work for a gaming platform and slammed into George Bush's coup using terror meters on my kids. To protect the whole world, I had to focus on tangible assets. My Marines, my kids, myself. From now on, there's basically, besides the baseline 8, there's only one question you ask yourself. To make this decision, how will it affect me? How will it affect my immediate family? How will it affect my Marine Corps? If the answer is it doesn't really do anything in the Marine Corps, it has no effect on them at all, they could care less. But Bush was making decisions where, it was good for me, it was great for the Bush family, and he fucked the Marine Corps every chance he got. And that's why they never fix the waters of Lejeune, because they're so entrenched in health care, they're going to make lots of money as long as they don't fix the water, because they've got all these policies they've attacked with defective policy. But on the front of the Declaration of Independence, I found a puzzle. Thank you to Nicolas Cage and your whole movie ensemble behind you that wrote the script and everything else. But once you learn remote viewing, if you are a two thumbs up person, the system just fucking uses you. So you got Nicolas Cage and Keanu Reeves and James Spader. There's a lot of actors that keep turning up in movies because Einstein's special theory of relativity turned up in literature. Take a piece of paper and set it in front of you in landscape format. And then take a piece of paper with a pencil, take a pencil, and to the left write down the past, and to the right write down the future. Well, I guess in your ways, to the left write down the past and write down the future. And then draw a line across that. In the middle, draw a dot that says where my body is at in 3 dimensions. And flip it over, draw another line, so in your mind you can see parallel lines, but with your eyes you can only see one line. I'm teaching you how to use your mind's eye. The tools are on the back of the $1 bill. In the past, you can see Neo in the Matrix using the mind's eye. In the present, you can see the 1 on the back of the $1 bill. In the middle of your mind, you can see the eon. You have to look through to see the 1, and once you get that pattern of rotation of letters, the EON, ONE, NEO, you then go and take Mark, Luke, and John and read Mark 1, Luke 1, John 1, Mark 1, 2, and this teaches you how to see through time, which is how the Quran is designed. There are 3 voices, and you're reading the first voice and the second voice and the third voice. But if you assign a different person to each of the people, Muhammad now teaches you a better set of tools to teach how to see through time. We, the paper of King David, were supposed to deliver these tools for hypnosis and remote viewing and space-time analysis to Egypt and Greece and China. When they are delivered, Judaism ends and the Promised Land returns to world peace, and we are released from the slavery of carrying the big trap of the burning bush. And I hope the U.S. Department of Justice will do something about it. But Christianity got duped into carrying the big trap of Bill Gates. Gates of pearls combined with pearls before swine revealed 2,000-year-old reconnaissance on Bill Gates being swine, because out of the box, Windows 7 and Windows 8 do not default to time.nast.gov. They go to time.windows.com. So in 2008, when all that shit was happening, Bill Gates changed the time server so he could command the explosives that are on the internet, because he can now set all the time servers to 99999, and anything on the internet that's set to explosives, he's now in command. He's put himself in a position of absolute power. We are no longer free in the United States as long as Microsoft is in existence. They violated oath of antitrust in 1997, and this is a coup. We do not have to be nice to them this time. Marines, you have to decide, are you going to ream the corporation or just blow it to the ground? You get to keep spoils of war. These people were told no in non-war times. This is war times, and you need to say no in a way that only the Marine Corps says no. Bill Gates stated, "He who controls the internet controls the world." He has made good on this threat. You must kill him. He is the mortal enemy of the Marine Corps. You don't have a choice. Marines, seek out, close with, and destroy the enemy. There's only one rule: don't be the enemy of the Marine Corps. All I had to do is build the case to show the Marines you're protecting the people you should be killing. You are not protecting the things that matter most. I'm really surprised that James Mattis isn't here in Richland, Washington, taking better care of his mama. When we were kids, the skies were clear all the time. Since 2001, when Bush went into office, they started spraying in patterns. There should be FAA books that have tons of data of where these planes are coming from, but what they're doing is they're turning up the upper atmosphere and creating artificial clouds just from flying, because they're doing cross patterns, about 5 mile or 10 mile or 20 mile blocks, but they're making cross over the entire inland northwest, which is increasing the heat here. The temperatures are going way up, and then this violent mass of hot air that's trapped under this artificial canopy moves into the jet stream and causes all sorts of weather problems back east. And these sons of bitches are invested in opium, oil, and defective operating systems. They lie as a team. They hurt people, and the Marine Corps are doing nothing to stop it. I'm sorry, Marines. I'm doing everything I can to get you to wake up, judge where you stand, and kill the bullies and make them go away, so we, the people, are only the good because you made sure the bad are dead. This is our Independence Day from being bullied by bastards. I'm here to argue that people that are bullies are not bullies, they're infected. And you're going to have to decide who you want to keep and who you're not going to protect. I hope I make judgment, but I've done everything I can to protect my kids and protect my city of Richland my state of Washington. We of Washington State must defend the honor of a founding father. No other state in the nation has that responsibility. If George Washington knew what George Bush did to this nation, I think Washington would peel his ass off the flag, jump down onto the ground, storm into the White House, and kill Bush himself. You're not going to defame the name of George this way. No. Marines, I bring you the best work I can. We've got to figure out how to use this stuff. Fishes the loaves and raise the dead. If these bastards who sent torturers down to Gitmo didn't teach you a lesson about their ability to make the Marine Corps look like shit so that they can profit from your suffering, the only way out of this nightmare is for you to decide what values we will never allow. You were formed in 1775. You came alive. You are a physical swarm of the healthiest of our species. And you're about to evolve because these tools break out the greatest of your mental abilities. And when you evolve, everybody who said, oh, so that's why you want to be a Marine. Yeah, well, the chance of being a Marine is probably going to become even smaller. Because once every Marine on the planet realizes that this technology is built into them and their kids and everyone they know, and they can monitor the whole planet thousands of years in advance and in the past from this one location of space-time, and all the tools are sitting in their own possession, but because they trusted foundations that were designed to fail, they didn't know. Please, forgive us for we know not what we do. My name is David Brager. I'm hoping that the Marine Corps will realize that by Prescott Bush standing right next to Adolf Hitler when loans were pulled, by Billy Bush standing right next to President Trump, this is a problem, and you need to fix it. You need to fix it in a way that only the Marine Corps can fix it. Any Marine that does justice will be etched in stone, because no one has ever attacked the Marine Corps virally for 184 years and gotten away with it. You need to set an example so rich and deep in their blood that no one will ever, ever do this again. I want to thank Thomas Jefferson for the advanced recon, and the coup that I stopped in 2008 returned, and in 2013, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. 2013. He sent advanced intelligence on 2013 that the bullies were back. And I went back into action. Anytime anyone visits the USA, I email and fax all these tools as David Brager performing the fictional role of Aquarius Last Prophet for Judaism, because these bastards are in factual role of performing them fictionally. The only counter move is to perform a fictional role factually. President's just a role in a role-playing world we mistakenly call reality. It's not the highest role. World leaders are terrified of the president. Cat, please, don't. Sorry. When people are terrified of the president, what can you do? The only thing you really can do is to say, don't listen to him, listen to me. And then give them a reason to. And the only way I could do that was a lot of work. So I started with concentric circles from federal, state, local, fraternal organizations with police and fire departments, people who absolutely needed to know that people were building fake foundational games so they can terrify huge swaths of people. And then they started making Marines and others do these fake games like Jade Helm 16. If you can believe that Jade Helm 16 and Jade Helm 15 and Jade Helm 14 are valid, then 9/11 was Jade Helm 1. And the loans are in the United States from China, and if you look at the entire attack, these people are attempting a coup. And George Herbert Walker Bush stated in 1992 to Sarah McClendon, a White House press member, Sarah, if the people ever knew what we Bushes had done to this nation, we'd be chased down the streets and lynched. Thank you, Mr. Bush. It means you couldn't take oath of office. You couldn't be trusted enough to take oath of office. You precluded yourself, and every decision made before your election, you couldn't take oath of office to be the head of CIA. Everything you have ever done is null and void. You do not exist. We will be eradicated from history. You are a has-been that will be a never was, because you endanger Marines, and that's a no-no. But when you went off to China and ate all those Americans, boy, I'll bet you just didn't have enough, because Nostradamus gave heads up, a rise of cannibals at the end of the age. That explains 2 billion coffins and trains with shackles. You wanted to make sure you had enough food, because with Majestic 12, you obviously sold the human population of the U.S. to another planet. And if it hadn't been for Gordon Duff reading Majestic 12, I wouldn't have this whole case. But the best thing of all came from, I called the FBI Anti-Terrorist Unit 656 and said, have you ever run bomb-sniffing dogs to the remaining towers of the World Trade Center? And the agent goes, goodbye, and slams down the phone, because they caught an Al-Qaeda unit coming into New York State. But if you look at the track of data, we have someone that gave bad advice to FDR to have internment camps so that they could get one terrorist to build them 7 towers with seismic gas set to countdown timers set to explosives. And that was my theory, is that they were countdown timers set to explosives because 4 stopwatches with 9/11 revealed that the impact of the first plane set off the seismic gas in the second tower, which is why it fell first. Which then means that the first Bush and the first bombing was a dud. Why? Because God was watching. If you do not lie, escape with dishonor or torture in reality, that makes you a better actor, because in fantasy you can be anything you want. And when I found that the Matrix just bloody well used people, I've been getting data from Next and from all the 2 National Treasure movies, and just a load of Nick Cage sources of credits. I'm David. I keep turning up in movies as characters, and when you see yourself in enough movies, use the data that you can use now to make things stay in fantasy as much as possible. Love your enemy and keep it in the fantasy world. So if you see something or someone in 3 movies that looks like someone doing what you're doing, if you see something advancing on your world that's going to make it into hell, figure out who can rebuild the barrier between fantasy and reality and send them all my shit. Go to tinyurl.com, tinyurl.com/upgrading patriotism, and read. You'll find how to decode the puzzle I found in the Gospels, all the tools I found, and everything I've done to date. You'll find 2 non-human intellects vying for the role of God of Jews. You will see the Holy Grail, which I faxed to Peter Gilchrist, General Peter Gilchrist, I'm sorry, sir, who was the head of British intelligence at the time. Because Excalibur is a really great corridor piece here. I pulled the cross out of the 10 Commandments. I pulled the sword out of the stone. And it's all being done because Queen Elizabeth is being brutally violated intellectually by Bush, and she needs to know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so she can be the queen with no fear and no abuse. Because if you listen to her Christmas thing about a year ago, she sounded terrified. And so I had to up my ante and get into this more effectively, because as a quarter-blood prince of King David, we don't do this stuff because we're getting paid for it. We're doing this for honor. I took the ASVAB, but because of complications with my birth defect, an XXY with Klinefelter syndrome, and the U.S. Army said no. So I passed the ASVAB. But the recruiter took massive concerns with me when I started reading the contract and lining things up that I didn't like. And he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I have a legal right to read contracts and to line out things I don't want to sign." And he just took the contract from me and said, "Well, you're too fat and you've got too many health problems, forget it." And so he's the official, and I didn't get into the Army. But I learned hypnosis from a U.S. Army World War II Air Corps Warrant Officer supply pilot named Charlie Brewer, who lived in the pink house on Putnam, which is now, I think, a different color since he's passed. But if Charlie Brewer had lived to see terror meters trigger mass hypnosis from the White House, Charlie would have blown a gasket, because he wouldn't teach anyone hypnosis because of the abuses to the public by Geico and other companies that are using intellectual stress. They're in the insurance business. They're making you mentally ill, and they're profiting from your suffering. And there are rules on the books at the FCC, and they can't enforce them because not enough people know hypnosis. So I'm going to wake up the whole fucking world and deliver tools to everybody that are sitting in plain sight, and those who didn't tell anybody are going to be instantly obvious to the protectors who are going to kill you. I'm sorry, but game over, motherfuckers. We don't want to play Armageddon as written. We want to be free. And the only way to be free is to let our Marines realize that they possess tools that they are not using because you never told them. But you're using them against them, and that makes you the mortal enemy of the Marine Corps, and they must kill you. There's nothing more terrifying in my mind than to realize that I would be a Marine's enemy. That would be unacceptable. Robert is a friend of mine, and I did this for his honor because he deserves to be judged properly. At the same time, I believe that there are a bunch of people in this nation that are going to be judged properly and are going to line the streets with their corpses when the Marine Corps say, we're not going to protect you anymore. You endanger the Marines, and we've had enough. To the public, I ask you to please take up this tool and use it for every decision. And if you feel a problem, you signal it. And if the person who's coming at you says, you're scapegoating your problems on me, it's just in your own mind, I'm having nothing to do with you, and they flip you off and they walk away from you, then the game in your mind has broke their reality, but it's not part of them. But if the person's endangering your life, you scream, Marines, 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 and the Marines seek out close with and destroy the enemy. Don't let the enemy win the war. I believe that Mr. Trump has violated oath of office, but because he has trusted people who have given him bad advice. I believe the wisest thing for him to do, since he's clearly been raised to his level of incompetence, is to stand down and let Mr. Pence pick up this nightmare and let it be his, so that Donald can go back to being a happy guy with a fun life and a great wife and not be in the middle of this nightmare. Mr. Pence, I hope you will keep Mad Dog, because he will never betray you. Thank you for your time.